Well, finally, in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, we're getting to the answers. We're getting to the point that says, here's what you should be doing. We spent a lot of time talking about existential crises, what's really important in life, and what we shouldn't do. But now we're getting into what we should do. So let's read these verses. Verse 1, cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days. Give a portion to 7 and also to 8, for thou knowest not what evil shall be upon the earth. If the clouds be full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if the tree fall toward the south, or toward the north, in the place where the tree falleth, there it shall be. Now that might sound kind of strange, like, well, of course, that's where the tree's going to be. But what it's talking about more is when we die, judgment will find us. That's what we're going to run into. Justice and judgment will come for us, basically. So when we die, there's a bit of an initial judgment that we go through to determine where in the spirit world we end up. There's different places we learn about in the spirit world. So there's kind of like an initial judgment before the main judgment that we experience. That's what it's talking about. But giving, learn to give, because it'll come back to you again. Now, verse 4, he that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Now, that's important. So if you're always paying attention to the wind, you're going to miss an opportunity to sow. If you're worried always that the wind is going to blow your seed away, you'll never plant your seed. If you're always worried that the clouds are going to come in and storm, you will never reap your harvest. So this is talking about opportunity. Sometimes the conditions are not going to be ideal to accomplish an opportunity. If you wait for all the lights to be green before you start, you're never going to leave. You just have to deal with the red lights as they come. Basically, it's an important point. So verse 5, as thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, or how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child, even so thou knowest not the works of God who maketh all. So that's important to think about, that we don't know how everything works. Now, granted, in our day and age, we know a tremendous amount more about how things work than they did back then. They didn't understand atoms and quantum mechanics and atomics and all kinds of stuff. But here's the thing is, there's still a lot that we don't know. We don't fully understand the works of God. We think we're smart, but God likes to prove that we're not, basically. So just a good piece of advice. Now, verse 6, in the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thine hand. For thou knowest not whether thou shalt prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. So this is saying, you go out, you do your work, you plant your seed, you get it in, and then when it comes evening time, you basically can go, okay, I've done my work. Where's my reward for doing this? And you have to realize that sometimes you're going to get a little bit, sometimes you're going to get a lot. But this is talking about the whole idea of the law of the harvest. So if you've gone out and you've done the work, then you can ask for the reward. You can't go to an empty field, I want corn, and say, give me corn, if you've never planted or watered or nourished or weeded the corn. This is the law of the harvest. That's what it's getting at, basically, is if you want it, you've got to do the work to accomplish it, basically. And the other thing that's nice about this law is when you work, God will make up the difference. That's a very important point. He will always help you. Now, verse 7, truly the light is sweet, and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold the sun. But if a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that cometh is vanity. So while it's good to remember the good days, the good times, the good things, realize that we learn a lot from the hard times of life too. It's okay to remember that. Have a remembrance of those challenges because they can be there as an educator for us. Now, verse 9, rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart and in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things God will bring thee into judgment. So he's telling us, as this young person that the preacher's talking to, that don't be too worried. Don't take things too seriously in life. Have fun, work hard, have a good experience, but realize you're going to have to answer for all of it at some point. So make it count. Make it stuff that can help your life. Not stuff you're going to have to go, well, I can explain that. Make it stuff that'll help you. Now, verse 10, therefore remove sorrow from thy heart and put away evil from thy flesh, for thy childhood and youth are vanity. Well, anybody that has kids knows that. It's crazy to think of kids and how they just play and do stuff, but yet they don't understand how hard we as adults work so they can play and enjoy life. And that'll change as they get older and get into the workforce and do more as well. So some good advice, good tips to help us in improving our life. Let's move on to the next chapter, the concluding chapter, in fact, of Ecclesiastes as we move forward.